I don't know when I started keeping it. There's no title, no folder, no formal record, but I know exactly who's on it. The list. People who hurt me, betrayed me, walked away when I needed them most. Some names I thought I'd moved on from. Some names I've circled again and again. I used to think the list made me stronger, but if I'm honest, it's made me tired. This season on Other People's Shoes, we're opening up the pages, not to fix it, to admit the list exists, and ask what it's really costing us to keep it. Welcome to Season 23, The List. Now, here's your host, Neil Matthews.
Yes, welcome in one more time to Other People's Shoes. As you know, I am your host, Neil Matthews. That is my very good friend. I hope she would call us still good friends. You know what? That reminds me. I should send her a text and ask her. That is my good friend, Jessica Lewis. If you are looking for a voice gal, she's your gal. Because she's our gal. She's been doing it for a while now. Every time I send her a script, every time I send her a concept, I think within 48 hours, she's generally back to me with the recording. Okay, I'm putting a lot of pressure on her. For me, she's usually back pretty quick. You know, it got me thinking today just about my friend Jessica and the energy and the effort that it takes to do that type of work. I just think people that do that they're just one in a million. They're just so good at it. Where's my energy level at? So just show of hands right now. Your battery percentage is your energy level. I saw that on Instagram a while back. Is that accurate? Let's just see. I'm looking at the iPhone right now. Got it open. My energy level currently, as we sit in this moment in the Shoe Shack studios, I'm at 62%. Let's see if my guest can help us raise it maybe up to maybe even 99, if not 100%. Help me welcome in my new friend, Nrgy. Nrgy, how are you today?
Hello. Yes, let's definitely see if we can get that raised up just a little bit. How are you? I am wonderful. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited.
Me too.
7 years now of doing this, you would think I would get tired of it. And I'm not trying to make a funniness on your name. Truly, when I get to sit behind this now light blue mic stand and this nice light blue foam cover over the microphone and the light blue shoe, and I hit record over here, it doesn't matter what's gone on. It doesn't matter what's happened. It all just dissipates like a mist. Why is that, do you think?
That is a good question. We need to figure that out.
Thought you had the answer for that.
No, why would I have the answer for that? Of all people, why me?
I was told you were the expert in this.
In what?
In the ability to know why people, I don't know. Now I'm messing with you. That's me having fun. Thanks for being a good peach about it, like a Georgia peach. Now we worked it all in.
Clever.
I know. Clever. Well, Nrgy, help me with this. If we were to find you, maybe at a Braves game, it used to be called Fulton County Stadium when I was a kid. It's where the Braves play, by the way. I think you know that. If we were to find you even in the Mercedes-Benz arena where the Atlanta Falcons play, what shoes might we find you walking the concourse, maybe in line at the concession stands for some Chick-fil-A? Because that's also in Georgia. What pair of shoes might we find you in?
So I'm all about comfort, convenience. You'll find me in a pair of flip-flops. Keep it simple.
Nrgy. We're trying to have energy. We're trying to have some excitement. Let me just make this sweeping declaration for future guests, future listeners, future anyone that may come on the show and they're asked the question, what shoes might we find you in? Let me help you. Flip-flops, for the last time, are not shoes.
What?
They are not. They are not an acceptable answer when someone asks you, what style of shoe might we find you in? Flip-flops are not shoes. That is not an okay answer.
Says who? When did it not become a shoe? Now, that's the question we need to ask.
All right. I'm doing it. I'm putting you on the spot, Nrgy. Here we go.
You are not Googling right now.
I am. Yep. Are flip-flops
OMG.
shoes? Let's see what Google says. Are flip-flop shoes?
Yeah. What does it say?
You're going to be excited to hear this. According to the AI overview on Google, yes, flip-flops are a type of shoe, specifically a casual open-toe style of sandal characterized by a flat sole held by a Y-shaped strap toe thong. which is gross already. I don't like feet, which is weird because I really like shoes, but I don't like feet. That goes between the first toe and the second toe. That's so disappointing. I did not do that ahead of time. This was live. This
Clearly.
was straight live.
Now we can put that to rest for me and your future guests, right?
There's only 3 words I want you to say right now. I was wrong. Okay? That's all that needs to be said. I was wrong.
Yes.
Now the next question seems super irrelevant. Always ask right after that. Now that I know apparently flip-flops are shoes, I can't even say it because I'm so mad right now. There isn't really a style or a brand of flip-flop that you probably like more than another, is there?
No.
If you said Old Navy, I guess would have been an acceptable answer. I don't know if you even have those in Georgia.
They're a good go-to, very casual. They can fit almost any attire, especially during the summer. A dress, shorts, jeans, you name it. Yeah, you get the right color, it will be good.
Okay, well, this is a great segue. I'm going to make a list of shoes that I did not like. Just like we're talking about this idea of a list of people that maybe have hurt us, wronged us, disappointed us. Again, Jessica Lewis did such a great job with that. I know flip-flops are number 1, followed by Skechers, followed by New Balance.
Oh, in that order?
In that order.
Wow. Okay.
Of shoes I can't stand.
Yeah. So your feet doesn't see the sun at all?
Yeah.
Rare. Okay.
I'm pretty white down there. Say anything or insinuate anything. They're very pale. Let's just say that.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. All right. How you deal with that? All right. Come back from that. Nrgy, good luck. This is how it's going to go. This is how it's going to go. This is how it's going today. Let's get serious for a quick, fast second if we can somehow salvage this episode. When you think about this idea of a list, how and why did that resonate with you so much that you were like, I got to respond. I got to let Neil know I got a list, and here's why.
Yeah, I am a coach. I'm around it every day. What I've experienced in my personal life, knowing how heavy having that list, no matter how long or short, one person being on it is too long. Having a list of a person or people who have wronged me in some sort of way, it bothered me. It always disturbed me knowing that this person, you know how they say someone can live rent-free in your head? I didn't like that. I didn't like how it would affect me physically, how it would maybe give me goosebumps if I start to rethink about what this person may have said or what this person may have done. And just knowing how for as long as I keep that list alive, it was holding me back from being able to move forward in life and to be able to achieve just a sense of peace. Like, peace is so important to me. So when I saw and realized that how it was affecting me, that's when I said, okay, something has to be done.
You said something interesting. The first thing was the idea of somebody living rent-free. Now, we know that. That's kind of a pretty popular word. We kind of know that in our society. We kind of joke about that. For you, who or maybe what was that thing or person, or maybe it was a moment that was living rent-free? And you even said you kind of had to realize it and kind of almost get rid of it. Who was it? What was it? And then how did you get rid of it?
For me, it was an ex, specifically ex-husband. If you can imagine, there's a lot that can happen in relationships. And then especially when a child is involved, we do have a child together. Once things started to happen, once things started to take place that weren't healthy, that's when I realized, okay, something has to be done. For one, it's becoming unsafe. And then 2, from what I was saying earlier, more so on the emotional side of it, it would bother me so much that this person, sometimes we hate to admit it, but a person could have some sort of control over you with them not even being there. And they may not even know it. It's based off of how you allow them to affect you.
Being a kid of divorce is never easy. I remember at 17 when my parents separated, very much felt like I needed to choose a side. Wish I had the voice and maybe the strength or encouragement or gumption, bravery. I wish I had those skills, advocate sense for myself to say, no, Dad, I don't want to go with Mom. I want to stay with you. The house where we were all living was more centrally located to my friends, my school, my own room. There was some things that then changed. I had to get a new room. I had to pack my stuff. I mean, there was a lot of things that came with that separation. Not throwing rocks at my parents. They were so focused on themselves, them getting away from themselves. My feelings and my maybe needs and wants weren't necessarily taken into account, except that you're going with your mom and I'm going over here and have a nice life. life.
Yeah.
When you think back on your divorce, I've heard from others, it's the worst thing they've ever walked through. Is that accurate of you? Or, I mean, not that it was a Hallmark movie, I'm sure it wasn't, but, and not that you have to give us the gory details of it. You just describe it in your own words.
Unfortunately, that is what I've kind of earmarked as the worst phase of my life, because I got married young. Being a young wife, being a young mom, also still being in school, because this was back when I was in college. So we're talking 22 plus years ago. It was very difficult. But I used that time and seeing how I was able to get through it. I use that as my motivation to get through other things that are difficult. If I could get through that back when I didn't have all of the knowledge that I have now, or the strength that I have now from an emotional standpoint, or just a mental standpoint, even a financial standpoint, because I dealt with financial abuse during that marriage and going through the separation as well. Just kind of seeing how I was able to get through all of that with the little resources and the little bit of knowledge in life and the little bit of experience in life that I had at that time, I say, well, I can get through absolutely anything else that comes my way. So I basically have been able to turn what was a very difficult situation into something that I use as strength now.
I wonder how many times people set out when they get married, this is really forever. And when they go through the wedding process and the dress and all the preparation and the walking down the aisle, nobody wakes up one day and says, wow, let's go back to that. Is divorce the only option? Heard people say, yeah, Neil, it was. He was abusive. He was physically abusive. He was sexually abusive. He hurt my kids. He did this, this, and this. By the way, rarely do I ever hear, well, she did blah, 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 blah. It's usually us dummy guys that seem to be causing the problem in divorces. But I have also heard divorce is very much 50-50, but I don't know. What do you know of that? And have you put much work or thought into the process of, like, how does it go from the storybook wedding per se to then where you are now?
I would say, one, are there other options? I would say it depends. So it depends on the specific situation, the specific scenario of each person's relationship. And then also a person's, maybe their religious beliefs play a part into that as well. For me, safety was an issue. I did mention specifically financial abuse. I also had the physical abuse as well. So for me, it was a matter of, let me get out before it gets too bad. Let me get out before it's too late and I can't. Understanding also with a child being involved, having to think about, okay, do I want to remain in a household where my child is experiencing this type of behavior? And I didn't want to portray that that was right, that that was acceptable, or that that was normal. To answer the other question, how do people go from wedding day to D-Day, basically? I would say that a lot of it is due to at least one party, one of the two parties not being ready to fully commit, and also maybe not truly understanding what being married actually means. What is it? What all does it entail? I believe that a lot of people don't really take time to understand and look at, okay, what does the day-to-day lifestyle look like? When there's no activities going on, there are no events, we don't have a lot of people around us to help distract us maybe. What is it going to be like with just you and I and within four walls? And when it's all quiet, what is that going to look like? Are we going to be good for each other? So I would say that it may just be a lack of knowledge and understanding what a marriage actually takes in order for it to be successful. Successful, in my words, would be healthy.
This jerk of a guy said to me that when I agreed to marry my wife, I agreed before my family and friends and even God, I was agreeing to marry God's daughter. This is the jerk mode. He went a step further and said, when I hurt my wife or I mistreat my wife, I think they're sometimes a little different. If I disrespect my wife, if I don't honor my wife, he had a long list. And he said, do you know that when you do these things, you're doing it to God's daughter? That's haunting and awful advice, by the way. Just terrible. When I want to respond sometimes in a mean or angry or jerk way, we'll say. I almost kind of catch myself mid-moment, like freeze tag back in the day. We'd play freeze tag and they'd tag the person. They had to freeze right where they were, frozen for a split second. And then God kind of tags me and says, let's try again. But here you go. You get to play the game again. Go ahead. I really have tried hard to freeze and go, nope, try again. Think about it before you say it. I have this conscious being CD or repeat song on the CD player of old. God's daughter. God's daughter. That's God's daughter. That's God's daughter. Would you let anyone talk to your daughter that way, Neil? And my response is always, well, no, I'd punch them in the face. They'd really be on my list. I'd probably be in jail because I'd kill them. Listen, I'm not perfect. I don't have the perfect marriage. Hallmark's not banging down our door to tell our story. That's just not us. I try really hard to honor my wife. Try really hard to love her and care for her the best of my ability. And every day I try to do it a little bit better than I did yesterday. If more guys were taught that, I only use God. He's a big part of my life. There is a good thing to have somebody higher than you that you're taking instruction from and taking some guidance from, whether it be God or a coach or a mentor. I use God just because he's amazing. Some people don't like God. They've had bad experiences with God. So if that's you, put in a coach, put in a mentor. If a mentor came to you and said, hey, that's somebody else's daughter, which it is, treat her with that respect. Treat her with that cherish. Treat her like precious glass. If your ex-husband had had that mindset, what would it have done to your marriage, do you think?
I absolutely believe that the marriage could have maybe worked out. Going back to what I was mentioning earlier, the day-to-day. Sometimes it's about those boring moments when there's not a lot going on and it's just the two of you. In those moments when no one else is looking, there's not a crowd, you're not putting on a show, you're not dressed fancy. Like, how are you treating each other? And with your question, if I were being treated with respect, with kindness, with love, with gentleness, then yes, I could say that it's most likely the marriage would have continued to move forward, would have worked. And I'm kind of stumbling over the words that I'm saying. I do want to throw in a little bit of a caveat with that. I would also assume that my husband treating me with all of those wonderful types of character traits, so to speak, kindness, gentleness, love, respect, I would also assume that he is also in tune with God and connected to basically downloading what God, how he says to love your wife, how he says to respect your wife, how he says to, and fill in a blank, with that also being a part of it, then yes, I could say that the marriage would most likely have continued to move forward, because at that point, what I feel is selfish, the selfish act of what I experienced, infidelity, financial abuse, physical abuse, those things may not have taken place if he, my ex-husband, were considering me before he decided to take those steps, take those actions, make those choices.
That's the frustrating part for me. And this is a absolutely horrible. Everybody's going to hear this and you're like, yeah, Neil, that was a horrible parallel. You couldn't think of anything better. Not in the moment. I grew up collecting baseball cards. Loved them. Absolutely loved them. I lived on a military base, so I lived down the street from a commissary. It's called a PX. For those in the military, you know what I'm talking about. Basically like a little 7-Eleven, but cooler because they had all kinds of stuff. They had this huge display when you first walked into the store of these new baseball cards that had just come out. Really cool, primo baseball cards. And I think they were like $2. They were cheap. Nowadays, they were super cheap. Back then, $2 was a lot. I stole a pack. Yep, I did. I'll admit it. Statute of limitations, I can't get arrested. I walked home and I was so just nervous. Didn't get caught. I was still so nervous, like, now what? I opened up the pack and I'm flipping through them. So excited. I got the card that I wanted. It was a Will Clark baseball card. I loved Will Clark as a San Francisco Giant. He was my favorite. He still is one of my favorite Giants. I put it in a special plastic case, put it in my room proudly. And man, I would go to sleep looking at that card and just so excited that I had it. The next day, woke up, did not feel as excited about said card. I started to actually feel super guilty about said card. Probably a week goes by and I'm still feeling super guilty. And I took the card down because I was tired of looking at it. Every time I looked at it, I felt the guilt and the shame that I had stolen this. I knew stealing was wrong. I was of age. I knew. I grew up in church. I knew it. And I even remember going to church and confessing to the pastor because he would have a prayer time at the end of the service. Like, you come up for prayer. Most churches do that now. And I confessed to him that I had stolen this pack of cards. So years go by and I actually ended up trading the card away because I was so ridden with the guilt, couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't even look at the card. I didn't want it anymore. So I ended up trading it away to a friend for lesser cards. And then I did something crazy. I went back to the store with them wrapped, minus that card, of course. And I gave them back to the manager. And I said, hey, I found these outside. I think someone stole them. They're open. And he's like, oh yeah, I can't resell those. You can have them. And I was like, I don't want them. Just take them. Because I didn't want the guilt. It's a terrible analogy. Okay, here's where I'm going with that. I think sometimes as guys, and again, I'm only speaking from a guy perspective, you can chime in from a woman's perspective. We see something, we want something, we go after it, and then once we have it, we have tremendous guilt and shame, and we don't know what to do with it. So we lash out, we get angry, we get disconnected, we get isolated, we then get rid of whatever that is, or we try to, and then we still have the guilt and the shame, and we still don't know what to do with it. I wonder sometimes if men were really, truly honest and serious with themselves, if they would look back on past relationships and wonder, I could have done it better. It could have been better. Now, I know from a woman's perspective, you guys never deal with guilt or shame or any of that stuff.
Now, wait a minute.
You guys are incapable of any of that stuff. I don't know how you're going to be able to relate to this. Is anything I'm saying relatable, Nrgy, to your situation? Is there anything in your mind that you felt like you could have done better in the relationship that maybe could have helped not put your ex-husband on the list that was hard to forgive?
To help not put him on the unforgiveness list, because definitely knowing now more than what I knew back then, being more understanding to who he was back then, being understanding to who he was. So I had to reflect on this, being understanding to his upbringing, his lifestyle, what he was accustomed to versus what I may have been accustomed to. As far as like our families, the dynamics were different. Like I had a 2-parent household. He didn't, continuing with some of those comparisons as well. I would definitely say just being more understanding of, okay, well, maybe he did not have an example in the household, a male example that could show him this is what you do or this is how you do it, compared to me when I did have the example. And even as I reflected back then, also seeing how when we were married, my dad kind of filled in some of the gaps of his absent dad. Definitely, I would say just being more understanding, aware of what he knew or what he just did not know.
Harder to forgive him or yourself?
Oh, him.
Why?
With everything that I just mentioned, there's still the sense of knowing right from wrong. And so that part, even though we both were young, it was both of our first marriage, and we were both young parents entering everything at the same time for the first time together, I still understood right from wrong. And I still led with, okay, I may not know exactly what to do. I know that this decision over here is wrong. I'm not going to do that over there. Not saying that every decision that I made was perfect. For me, there's still that little piece for all human beings that we know right from wrong, at least to some degree. It's easy to forgive myself versus forgiving my ex-husband in this case.
What do you think 4 words of encouragement that you could have given yourself back then, maybe in the midst of when it was maybe the hardest or the darkest, that really could have given you some light at the end of the tunnel that, hey, future you is going to be okay. Right now it sucks. It is what it is. Do you have those words that maybe come to mind?
Be patient, have faith. Those were the words that did actually help get me through it. Be patient, have faith.
Why those ones?
Yeah, let's start with the faith portion. God is big for me, just like he is for you. So we can definitely speak directly to God on this. Thankfully, and I'm grateful for my upbringing, that God, just his word and understanding how he works and understanding that God is a forgiving God as well, and knowing that he will work out everything eventually for those who seek him and for those who want better. I also believe that a part of what helped me in my faith is I want it to be better. I want it to do better. With that, I was drawn towards, okay, how can I improve? What can I do better? What can I do different? So that have faith portion was what helped me get through that dark time or that rough time. Just also understanding and seeing that there were a lot of other relationships. We see it on TV. We see it in our neighborhoods. We see it just within our own families. Okay, just because I'm going through a divorce, it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. Even though it feels like it, I have faith. As long as I keep my faith, I have faith that God will get me through it. As we go through things, even smaller things, we do experience other tough times, other obstacles, and we see that eventually we get over it. And so for me, I've just always had this habit of using something I've already been through to help me get over something else or something present in my present or something in my future. With seeing how life works, with seeing how so many things are connected, I also was able to have the faith that, okay, well, I was able to get through this particular sickness or whatever, or this particular exam at school that was tougher than I expected, get through bullying or whatever, any of those little other situations that I dealt with prior to marriage, and saw that, okay, it only lasts for a certain amount of time. And as long as you continue to move forward, as long as you continue to persevere, and with that faith is what helped me move forward. And then the be patient portion, this was a tough one for me. I definitely had to work on this for a long time. Being patient also helped, understanding that it's not just getting to the other side as quickly as you can. For me, I understood that the process is where I would grow. The process is where I would learn how to do better. I would learn how to be better. I would improve on this. I would gain more tools in the tool belt, so to speak, with this situation, as well as anything else that can help me in life. That's why I would say be patient and have faith. Those would be the 4 words, putting them together, that I would say to myself.
But let's be honest, nobody ever really wants to be the last kid picked at kickball. Nobody wants to be sitting at the lunch table all alone. Nobody wants prom time. Everyone else has the date. You don't. Through the years on the show, we've had a few ladies who have been through divorce and even shared their divorce journey. And by the way, I think to date, it has always been the guy's fault. So far, we're staying undefeated as far as women are never at fault. And I'm sort of being funny here, and I'm glad you're laughing. Going back to the God's daughter thing, I just feel like that when women are rejected and women are told in either words or in action, I don't want you, I want X. I didn't want that baseball card anymore. I couldn't handle the pressure, the guilt, that everything that came with me. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to go put it away. I'm going to go hide it. I'm going to go trade it away. I'm going to just get that guilt out of my head. I asked my dad a number of years ago. I was older. I finally found my voice. I was an adult. I was like, he can't ground me. He can punish me by, I guess, not talking to me. Like, I can't get in trouble. I finally said, Dad, I got to know. Okay, what was it? Why the divorce? Why the separation? What happened? It's not going to change my view of my mom. Just tell me. It's like, you really want to know? I'm like, I am on pins and needles. I am like a kid at Christmas. Like, I am ready, Velociraptor, to jump on the fat kid with the Twinkie. Like, I'm ready. I'm going. Like, let's do this. Salivating. And he's like, okay, I'll tell you. All right. I couldn't fold the towels right. I was like, I'm sorry. It sounded like you said you couldn't fold the towels right. He's like, yeah, that was it. And I was like, are you kidding me? You guys were married almost 20 years, over 20 years. You couldn't fold. That's the moment. He's like, well, it's the towels. It's the this. It's the that. I couldn't do anything right. I was like, oh. And he's like, how would you feel if everything you did for Elizabeth, she would come back and say, you didn't do it right. You love her. And she'd say, you didn't love me well enough. I was like, I would stop trying. I would give up. I would quit. He goes, okay, there's your answer. That shattered me. And that's the thing, is I don't think people know and understand when it comes to relationships that, yes, it may be one-sided, again, 100% one person's side, but there's still a level of brokenheartedness that happens. How did you heal your brokenheartedness? Did you?
Definitely had a broken heart. The darkest moment for me going into a marriage, I didn't see myself being divorced, especially when we're in those early 20s. You're young. My all was focused on him and the marriage and the family that we were creating. So much so to where I put him first and our family first, as I should. So much so to where we got married and didn't even tell anyone. Like, we just did our own thing. I was so madly in love. I wanted this to work so bad. So yes, it was definitely heartbreaking. How did I heal? For me, I couldn't have done it on my own. It was God's love that got me through it. I'm sure I could have decided to do so many other things a result of going through the marriage, everything that transpired after that. For me, the only reason I was able to get through it and heal my heart and get to a level of being able to forgive, get to a level of being able to just understand the other person, understand his why, was because of my faith in God. It wasn't a book, self-help book that was on the shelf that helped me. It wasn't conversations with family or my parents or anything like that. Of course, when you're kind of going through stuff like that, you feel like, even though it's not necessarily true, but you feel like, oh, no one understands. No one's going to get what I'm going through. Conversations with people, it didn't help. Getting into other relationships didn't help. For me, it was literally making sure I just kept my focus on God and staying in his word and understanding, because for me, I don't know exactly what verse it is, what helped me get through it. A verse in the book of James, I believe it may be chapter 2, talks about trials and perseverance and how it will help to build your endurance. I just had that constantly replaying in my mind that, okay, I'll be able to get through this. Had no choice, become healthy enough to be able to push through and push forward going through all of that because I have a child to take care of now. And I say it that way. I'm going to kind of touch on a point that you made a little moment ago about how it seems like it's always the guy that is the issue. Well, for me, when we got married, then next few months, he went off to deployment. So it was military. I was married to a military person. It was during his deployment of where there was infidelity. Unfortunately, that was the cause. I hate to have to add to the statistic. Okay, another check over here for the guys. That was what the cause was. Bringing it back after we got divorced, he completely disappeared. So I've been raising our child 100% by myself. When he disappeared, I had no choice but to dig deep, and I had to find something greater than me that could get me through day to day, not just for myself, for my child. The healing came through making sure I stayed focused on God's word and reminded myself of his promises.
I really think I need to do a series for men called What Are You Willing to Trade? Listen, I have this silicone ring on my finger. It's light blue.
Nice.
Sticking with the color brand. I'm not sitting up here on my seat of judgment. I'm no Wapner. I'm definitely no Judy. I'm no Simon Cowell. I've had my moments where I had to really stop and ask myself, am I really willing to trade this ring for whatever? A behavior, a habit, a secret. And the thing that I kept coming back to is, yeah, I might have traded it for a while. Again, the guilt, the shame, the pain, all that came rushing in, and I was like, no more. I want to get it gone. And it took a while in some stages to get it gone. I'm thankful and grateful every day that my wife, Elizabeth, the queen, as I often call her, stuck around and was willing to say, no, I'll forgive. There has to be actions with the words. The actions need to be louder than the words for her. Now, every woman's different. I would imagine that's probably true in your case. If he'd had come back and said, listen, messed up, dropped the ball, my bad. If he'd had come back and said, listen, I screwed up royally. I traded this. We can forgive. We can move on. We can start again. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. I can learn. I can forgive. But to come back and say, nope, I'm going to keep the baseball card. Again, terrible analogy. And I don't care. I don't care about the guilt. I don't care about the shame. I'll keep it gladly. It's mine. I stole it. It's mine. That's a whole different animal, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think the verse you're referring to, I quickly searched it for you just so we can have some context here. James chapter 1, verses 2 and 4. Consider it pure joy. What?
That's it. That's it.
Consider it pure joy, my brothers and my sisters. This is the New International Version. Throw rocks if you want. Whenever you face trials of any kind, because we know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Yucky. Nobody likes that word. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything.
That's it.
There's 66 books in this good book they call the Bible. Why 2 verses that really are awful? Again, maybe that's the word of the episode is awful. Consider it pure joy. You're supposed to consider joyful moment like, yeah! Trials! It's going to make perseverance. Nobody says that, Nrgy. Why are you saying that?
I had to ask myself that question as well. Why this verse? I rarely would take the easy route out of anything. And so that verse easily resonated with me. That's just who I've always been. That's the way that I've always decided by my choices to kind of go through life, being willing to deal with the heavy, or taking the tougher route, not just to have it all easy. That's the explanation that I was able to come up with when I also asked myself that question, like, wow, this is a heavy verse. And this is a verse that's so on the extreme joy, perseverance. Those are on 2 different ends of the spectrum. What it is about this. I've also been a very joyful, happy, caring, kind person as well. I never wanted any sort of situation that I've ever gone through to alter or change who I am in my natural state, who I am at my core, which is that kind, loving person. Because people say it to me all the time, oh, you're a breath of fresh air. Like I've always gotten that since I was a child. Even to this day, I almost hear it about weekly, just about. I know that people are going through so much in life and whatever their own personal struggles are. There was just always this clear understanding that, yeah, but God, I'm able to understand it easily, but I do understand that a lot of people struggle being able to see God through an obstacle, being able to see God when they're dealing with, you fill in the blank with something terrible or traumatic. But I've always, and I'm grateful for this, that I've never questioned God and his love and his promises and his power. Also knew that there's always better on the other side of any sort of situation that I would be dealing with, as long as I just got through it. For me, it was just about getting through it. I never wanted to stop or get stuck. I always wanted to at least just push through and get through it and become a better version of myself so I can be a better version for other people.
I looked up your name because I was curious.
Okay.
The closest definition I found was lamp of God, candle, and light.
Wow. I like it.
There's another definition that has it as closely resembles the traditional Nrgy, which I know yours isn't spelled that way. The traditional, I would say, traditional way of spelling it, according to Google.
Yeah.
They have it as meaning light, honor, and gentleness.
There we go. There we go.
If the shoe fits, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Is if the shoe fits.
No pun intended. Huh?
No pun intended. If the shoe fits. Listen, you said at the onset that you don't like trying to explain your name. It gets tiring. And I told you my daughter's name is Adia. It's very unique, much like yours. She gets all kinds of names mispronounced and it drives her crazy. And I was like, girl, you're just going to have to get used to that. I'm just saying, you're going to have to get used to that. Neil means champion, by the way. So I gave you yours. That's what Neil means. I've actually hated my name my whole life. Still kind of not a fan of it. Then we started doing the name thing when my daughter was coming around to being born. And then I found out that Neil means champion. And I was like, that's weird. I've never won a championship in my life. So I don't know how that fits. And then somebody's like, well, what's your middle name? And I was like, oh, I hate that too. And wow, you really don't like your names? I'm like, no, I don't know what my parents were thinking. Nothing against their ability to name things. I don't like it. It's Alan, and Alan means handsome. Okay. And then Matthews, my last name, there's no real definition for that, but the closest, much like yours, is Matthew. And that means sent from God. So a champion who's handsome, who's sent from God. Deal with that. Let that sit on your table next to the peas and carrots. Nrgy, listen, I love your name. I think right now there are people that have been through a divorce, and maybe I'm projecting, have immediately, when that divorce happened, separation, whatever you want to call it, it's the separation, then it leads to divorce. The separation really is the divorce. It may not be on paper yet. Let's be honest, it's there. And I know of a lady who I've known a long time, and when she got divorced, she is completely different than what she was when I knew her when she was married. Totally different. I mean, the spectrum is vast. I've never been to the Grand Canyon, but I imagine it's about like that. And for the life of me, no matter how much encouragement, no matter how much, again, energy I give to her, no matter how much reprogramming, whatever you want to say, I want the woman that was before the divorce. She was powerful. She was able to stand on her own 2 feet. She could articulate things. She was caring. She was powerful. Now, shell of a person. I wish I had a heartbreak sound. Maybe I need to work on that. It breaks my heart. God didn't design her to be heartbroken. That's why I asked you that question. That's why, to me, that question was so powerful, and you answered it very well, by the way. So many women are broken and are like, he doesn't want me. Who the hell wants me? Sorry for using the word hell, but it needed to be said in that moment. Like, who else is going to want me? I'm broken. I'm damaged. I'm no good. I'm worthless. I'm this. I'm that. I'm like, you're none of those things. I don't know how you get through to somebody like that. And I know you do coaching. I know that's in your wheelhouse. So can you put on that coach hat for a minute? A giant C maybe on your hat, not for Cleveland, because nobody wants to be from Cleveland. We'll pretend it says coach, and answer that from a coaching standpoint. How do you get through to somebody who is that broken, is like Humpty Dumpty laying on the ground, waiting for the king, which we know the king, to put her back together again?
Yes. Anything like that, it always starts with understanding who you are, meaning your identity. Instead of taking on the quote unquote identity of no one's going to love me, I'm worthless, I'm useless, I'm damaged goods, fill in the blank. Instead of taking on those traits of identity, you have to go back and remember who you are. And of course, there's different steps and processes that you could go through. Ultimately, that first step is the key step. Awareness, basically self-awareness, identity. You have to remember who you are. You have to remind yourself of who you were before the situation, before the divorce. The next piece that goes closely with it is you have to want to be better. You have to want to become the better person. You have to want to break free from all of the guilt, the heaviness, the shame, whatever it is that you're carrying. You have to want it. Without the want, the commitment, that's going to basically also be one of the steps that have to be taken. The commitment is not going to be there. If there's anything that a person does not fully commit to seeing it all the way through, no matter how difficult it is, get started and then it starts to get a little tough and then you stop. You get started a little bit here and then you go back. The self-awareness piece, the identity piece, along with the actual want, like anyone would have to want to be in a different place, in a different position, and then they will have to commit to whatever the process is. So I would say those three things would go closely hand in hand from a coaching, practical, human to human standpoint.
I think that's great. If somebody is in that moment right now, how can they reach out? How can they connect with you? I would imagine, much like I did this season, a discovery call, because not everyone is going to fit the shoe. You're not right for everybody. I don't know who would ever say that. If somebody were to take that step, they're hearing you right now and they're like, okay, enough's enough. Tomorrow's Thursday. I know it's not a Monday. Man, I'm going to get started right now. How can they reach out? They want to follow you on social media. I don't know. Nrgy loves social media. Maybe she hates it. I don't know. Tell me all the things.
Yeah, I don't love social media. Great question. Most people would assume differently. However, where I am regarding social media is on YouTube. You can find me anywhere. The best place probably would be just my website, Coach Nrgy, and Nrgy is Nrgy, CoachNrgy.com. You can follow me there or just search for Coach Nrgy on YouTube and then you'll see me there. And that's it. Keep it simple.
We love it. We love it when it's simple. Nrgy, now I heard you are highly competitive, that you once pushed a second grader down to beat him to a layup in basketball. Did research get it wrong?
Do you have photos?
Apparently still downloading them. Dial up here out in Oregon. I mean, we're rural.
Because you know, rural. If there are no photos, maybe it didn't happen.
Oh, it's fair. We're going to play the fastest growing game in the podcast community. It's called Heel Hustle. Zach, take it away.
Now it's time to play the fastest growing game in the podcast world. As you know, it's called Heel Hustle. Today our guest will try to answer all 6 of these questions in 60 seconds or less to win a prize from our prize closet. Audience, feel free to play at home. Let's put 60 seconds on that clock. Ready, set, hustle!
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
All right, Nrgy, here you go. Your childhood celebrity crush was who?
JTT, Jonathan Taylor Thompson, or Thomas.
Oh my. Thomas,
Yeah.
You got it right. Thomas.
Yeah.
Home
Okay.
Improvement. Wow, look at you. What is your secret talent?
I don't think I have a secret talent.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Who's one person you would trade places with for a year?
Ooh. I would, oh gosh, maybe, let's say the First Lady, Michelle Obama.
Okay. Weirdest job you've ever had?
A yogurt shop. I used to swirl yogurt in cones.
All right. Biggest risk you've ever taken?
Riding motorcycles.
Last one is this. Who needs a hug from you today and why?
Ooh. Does it have to be someone personal that I know?
Interpret that as you interpret that.
Okay.
We do not give cliff notes to our questions.
Okay. So who needs a hug from me and why? I would say anyone that is struggling with taking the next step of their own healing process, who feels as if they're out of options and they think that life is just going to be what it's always been. That person can get a hug from me. I will walk with them step by step to help them see that life is better. Life is worth living. We can get through the other side as long as we don't give up.
That's great. I love it. Well, Nrgy, thanks so much for gracing us with your presence today. We really appreciate all that you gave, all that you shared. Hopefully you had a good time. If you didn't, well, let us know in our survey that we'll be sending you shortly. Truly, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate all that you gave. Really mean that.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. This was fun. Thank you so much.
All right, guys and gals, kids and campers alike. I know. You're sad too. All the energy has been sucked from the room. Recently, I forgot my password. I resubscribed to XM Radio and I love it. I really do. When I can get into it, I got the proverbial at the bottom of the screen, access denied. I don't know if anyone else feels like that. When they get that, they want to throw their phone across the room. That was me. Yep. Access denied. Password not recognized. Tried all my other creative passwords. Nothing. Didn't get in. Finally, I had to chat with them. Yeah, you can do that. And they reset my password. It was very nice. They did that. I'm wondering about you in your life. Is there areas of your life that you're trying so hard to get into, trying so hard to let go of, and you're like, it's never going to work? Access denied. The password isn't correct. Is there a secret code? I got a feeling. I got a new friend that is ready to help you get access and gain access and stop the insanity of feeling like you can't get in. You can't break through. She can help. So if you're interested in that, let me know. You can let me know on the socials, of course, at OPS Podcast Show under Facebook, Instagram, and X. You can also let me know on the main page. We love that there too, because you can leave a voicemail. You can leave feedback there. If you hate the show, you can do it there too. Or if you love the show, either one, you can let me know there too. That's opspodcast.com. A little different than the social medias, but it's there. That's home base. And don't forget this. This is just so important before we go. It's the key really to the show. And that's this. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. I want to thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned till next week when, guess what? That's right, we're going to walk in other people's shoes.